Hey guys, CG Inferno here today with a different type of video. Well, I say different, but I kind of do these a lot now these days. But essentially, I'm going to be talking about my experience with Silver Palace. So recently, they have announced another beta, which is coming out soon. I believe it starts next month. No, it should do, because that's when like the closing time for the applications end. But essentially, I'm just going to go over my experience from the first beta, which was at the start of the year, my expectations for the next beta, and my concerns of the game that I've had as well. Now for Silver Palace in itself, for the story that I got to play at the start of the year, it wasn't too long. So in order for you to finish the story back then, it was about 3+ hours. And with most gacha games or these types of games, you always have level gates and everything. So you reach a certain point, it's like you have to reach a certain level, so you have to go out and do the side quest and exploration, or just like burn through your stamina and everything. But yeah, the story in itself wasn't too long. It actually had a very good story from what I remember, and where it left off, I do remember being a bit pissed off, mainly because I wanted more, because it was actually like getting really good, which I don't really get from gacha games on their like first release, like usually 1.0 or whatever, right? But for Silver Palace, it seems, for the story itself, it definitely seems to be quite good for a 1.0. Now obviously, the current beta that's going to come out, I'm sure the story is going to be expanded a bit more. Who knows, maybe they might even overhaul the whole story. We don't know, we just have to wait and see. But from what I played, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. I was really immersed into it, especially with like the whole detective stuff and everything, basically like finding clues and all of that stuff, which is quite different from what you get these days with like other gacha games and everything. But considering how the market is for gacha games right now, you kind of got to do something different to stand out, because then when you just come out with something that's similar, people are gonna be, oh, it's a Genshin copy, it's a Woo copy, Now combat wise for Silver Palace, it was okay for the most part, right? Now compared to other games, right, obviously some of them specialize in combat a lot more. For example, Wuthering Waves, right? Silver Palace one is a bit I guess the word basic, which kind of sounds rude in a sense, but there's nothing too crazy that they've shown, or at least I played, right? And then obviously you got your perfect parry and everything, perfect dodge. Then you've got your outro abilities. Essentially, like once the bar fills up, you switch to a different character, they'll come in and do like a quick attack. Got your ultimates, pretty much the standard, right? Now from what I remember playing in the game, it wasn't too crazy or anything. Like literally you can just go about your day and like you'll be fine. So there's like no fine tuning and everything. Obviously when the full game comes out, that's all subject to change. When you have your end game mode, we don't know how that's gonna be, but again, it could be just one of those ones. Hopefully they don't make it too easy, but at the same time not too hard, right? And when I say that, I'll give you an example. So NTE, which has come out, I managed to finish the end game mode with like the most scuffed builds ever, and I fully maxed out the stars, right? Bearing in mind, my characters weren't even like level 70, they were 60 at the time, which is nuts to even think about. Obviously, if you build them well enough, rotation and everything is good, but the fact that I could do it in that game so easily kind of has me worried for like, end game and other games. So I do want there to be a bit of a challenge, but at the same time, not to the point where it's just like, HP inflation and everything, which we all pretty much hate in the current gacha market. Unless you're like a whale or something, you got your characters like fully maxed constellations and everything, then for you guys, you don't even care for that shit anyway, right? But you just want it to be fun, you want it to be challenging and rewarding as well, because to be honest, for me, if you're just doing HP inflation to make it harder, for me that's just too lazy, right? That one's just like, yeah, we can't be bothered. So hopefully when the game comes out, combat's a bit more smoother, there's like more mechanics that we can use and everything. But yeah, and that end, like there's only so much I can say, mainly because that was the first beta. So second beta, for all we know, they can like completely overhaul it, right? But hopefully they just make it good, make it somewhat challenging, make it interesting, and give us decent rewards like for like end game and everything as well. Now character design for Silver Palace, for the most part during the first beta, I actually enjoyed the character designs. Obviously first beta, you're not going to expect it to be like completely finished or ironed out and everything, right? We all know that is always subject to change before the release even comes out. Hell, even when the game comes out, they could still change it, right? So you never know. But from what I've seen in the second beta or what's coming up and basically what they're showing in the trailer for it, they've definitely improved on quite a few fronts. So on that end, I'm not too worried about it. They definitely seem to know what they're doing in terms of like character design and like the world design and everything. So personally for me, I'm not too worried on that end. You know, hopefully they just stick to their guns and then do some drastic change, you know, which we have seen in some instances. But you know, I'm like 90% positive they'll keep it. I should say 99, but who knows in this day and age, right? But yeah, literally character design, world design, been perfect for me, honestly. Now before I wrap this up, I do want to give like my expectations for the next beta that's coming out soon. So obviously I kind of dabbled into like, you know, the story and combat as well, and like obviously characters and all that, the design, you know, all of that stuff, right? So obviously I want more story, right? You know, more story equals more time for me. I actually enjoy it. I know some people kind of hate it, they always skip it and all that shit, but for this game, I actually really enjoyed the story because I am like into the whole detective stuff as well. So on that end, you can kind of say that I'm a bit biased towards it, but you know, they've done a good job so far. They kind of won me over with the story already. So I'm quite excited to see what they're going to cook up for the next beta and for the full game when it eventually comes out. When that comes out, who knows? Probably like at the end of the year or like early next year. We'll just have to wait and see, right? But you know, hopefully they don't rush it. Just take their time with it. Obviously characters, I want to see some new characters, maybe some updated models for the older characters as well, which I'm sure we're planning to get. We also now get to play as the male main character in the game, so I'm kind of curious to see on how his side of the story plans out. Obviously I'm assuming it's just going to be a mirror of like what happens with the female one as well. I guess for me, maybe one way they could change it up is maybe he has a completely different story. That would definitely shake things up. But in terms of like, you know, money management, voice acting, all of that stuff, I don't think they can do that right now. Obviously that would be very good, but you know, it's wishful thinking for me. But who knows, maybe they might surprise us, they might do something like that. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how his story unfolds, and then, you know, see how he interacts with the sibling as well, and you know, where the story goes from there, like once you reach that point. Now, would we get that in the beta? Highly doubt it, but if we do, then holy shit, that is like quite something to get in terms of like story content. As for the open world, I am pretty content with how it is, or how it was on the first beta. Obviously I'm sure that we're going to get more to do in the second beta as well. Now in terms of just like exploring and stuff as well, I did find it pretty good. Obviously you had your horse where you can be drifting around with it and then going up in the air as well, flying, going to different locations. So kind of curious to see if they'll add in any more mechanics down the line, you know, maybe like swimming or underwater or something. But who knows, we'll just have to, again, we just have to wait and see. But that would be something nice for them to add as well, just to like, you know, spice up the gacha scene a bit. Now in terms of combat as well, I kind of want them to improve on that, which I'm sure they're planning to do. Mainly for me, it was just the difficulty. I definitely found it way too easy. Obviously I'm not going to try and say like, yo, I'm some like god gamer and everything, right? But I kind of do want a bit of a challenge when it comes to like some of these story bosses, because I'll be honest, you can literally just go through the motion and you'll be fine. Obviously they don't want you to be hard stuck, because then it'll just like deter a lot of players. But again, you know, just a tiny bit more challenge would be nice. Now of course we're going to have our typical end game mode whenever that'll come out. We get in this beta, we'll have to wait and see, but I'm kind of curious on see how that will turn out to be. If it'll be good, if it'll be challenging, or if it's just going to be one of those end gamers where it's just going to be HP inflation every update or something, and then it just gets to the point like, is it even worth like trying to max star it and everything, right? But again, we're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, that has essentially been a quick impressions of my time playing the first beta from like almost half a year now, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. And like what I expect from the next beta, which is coming out supposedly next month, which, you know, should be a good time to play it as well, considering that there's not too much out at the time. And you know, I guess for me personally, for me, I am just like kind of going through the motions with like other gacha games. Like hell, even right now I don't even play Genshin until like the story comes out, which is kind of nuts, right? Maybe when 7.0 comes out, I'll start exploring and doing that stuff again. But yeah, I kind of just want something different to play, which I definitely feel this game will bring to me. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think about what you've seen of the game from like the first beta, if you watched it or if you played it, what you've seen from the second trailer as well, you know, what your expectations are for the game and like what you want to see in the game as well. Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think about it, so like let me know down in the comments below. But if you guys do want to know anything more about the game, obviously they have the socials and everything, right, which I'll link down below. But yeah, if you guys got any questions for me, I'll try and answer them as best as I can. If you want to go and watch the old beta footage that I've recorded, it's on my channel. I'll leave that in the link down below as well. My god, my English is just going out the window right now. But yeah, I am gonna wrap it up. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys when the beta comes out, and then I'll probably do another video with my experience on that beta, what I liked, what I disliked, what can be improved, or all of that stuff as well. Obviously I'll live stream that beta as well when that comes. But yeah, it's been CG Inferno, and I'll see you guys in the next video.